We're back. It's Sri's Sunday New York Times read along. And if you're noting the notation right at the top, we went back to the archives. It's episode 376. Kind of hard to believe. My name is Neil Parekh. I'm the executive producer, and Sri Srinivasan, of course, is our host. It is so great to see everyone. Well, I can't actually see you, but you can see me, hopefully. Thank you to everyone watching the replay, because you're the ones who are getting this absolute opening. We're just a few minutes past 8:30. My apologies for that. Hopefully you weren't wondering if we were actually going to go live. But we are so excited to be here and to refresh this show that we've been doing for 10 years now. It's pretty incredible. We took obviously a summer and early fall hiatus, but we are back with a new format and several new features, so that folks can follow kind of what's going on and what we're planning. The biggest thing is that we are going to do the show, try and keep it to an hour to 60 minutes to keep it crisp. The other big thing that we're doing is that we're going to focus on the newspaper, something we haven't done in recent years. We're going to do more of a conversation around the journalism, the New York Times, etc. Occasionally we'll have guests, but we're going to focus more on the New York Times. We also want more of your input into the show. We want to know what stories you're tracking, and so we'll ask you every week to share, and we have several people who have sent in their stories, so we will make sure to highlight them. The other thing to note that we're very excited about is that we are now going to be on Spotify directly after the show. We will be uploading the episode to Spotify, so you can listen to the show as a podcast. We have uploaded about 15 episodes so far, just in terms of looking back at our archives. You'll see Hanson Hussain, Dr. Naliwe Rooks, Raj Goyal, Mike Connors, Sarah Barr from the New York Times, Manisha Sinha, Anna Packman. I'll make these a little bigger for you. Ali Velshi, Kelsey Russell, Amy Padnani, the celebration of the New York Times Sports Desk, Jake Silverstein, Brian Stelter, Kristen Shambrot, and Tom Jolly, of course. Just some of the highlights to get us started. But we will upload the audio after every show on Sunday morning. So you'll have that to look forward to as well. And then finally, the other thing that we wanted to make sure that you knew about is that we have a new sponsor that's joining our midst. We are thrilled to announce that the Graphic History Company is joining Muckrack as a sponsor of the New York Times Read Along. There's Muckrack and Graphic History Company. If you are interested in being a sponsor, please email either Sri at digimentors.group, or myself, Neil at digimentors.group. And we would love to add you to our list. We have so many people watching, and we're just thrilled. I see so many comments in there. Sri, let's bring you on and let's get this show on the road. Welcome, Sri.
Hello, everybody. Great to be with all of you, and so much new energy for the show. We are very excited. Among the things that people are asking us for was the Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're now on both platforms, so you'll be able to get the show after we're off the air. We also have some archives, as you heard, the newer, crisper format, just an hour long. So we'll be 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. on Sundays.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and just a reminder, today is, if you're in the US, when we fall back, where the time change happened. So it's actually 9:30 according to our body clocks, but it's only 8:30. It's also Marathon Sunday in New York City. And Neil, when I was growing up in New York, if you told me that the New York City Marathon would be named after an Indian company, I would not have believed it. It's been a decade of the TCS New York City Marathon, and TCS is the big Indian tech company, the Tata Consultancy Services. And that's just one of the things happening in the world today. There's so much news, and we had some great input from our readers about and our viewers about what they'd like to talk about. I know Deborah Kerr wanted to talk about military housing by Hegseth, Stephen Miller, that's where they're living now, the mayor's race, the New Jersey governor's race. Ken Fisher wanted to talk about world news, including Jamaica post-hurricane, the Russian aggression in the Donbass region. John Lee wanted to talk about some unusual stories that will come to, I hope, in the paper. But this just shows you what a great audience and community we've built. And before we bring you some greetings from the folks, I wanted to kind of tell you that one of the big things while we were away this summer and fall has been the growth of AI in everything we do. And a lot of people have been talking, Neil, about the dangers of AI, including the job loss that's about to come. Goldman Sachs said in a report said 300 million jobs may be lost to AI in the next few years. Just think about that. I don't believe governments, corporations, society, individuals have been thinking enough about the dangers around AI on this topic of jobs, and that's something that we want to pay close attention to. So here's what I would have loved to say I was doing when we were away. So I'm going to just show you. You can see the Burj Khalifa here.
Almost there. What a view. Yeah!
That's me on top of the Burj Khalifa.
Company. Stepped off the boat onto Antarctica. It's freezing, but the sun is out and it's absolutely beautiful. And look at this. I've already got company. Hi there, little friends. Thanks for the welcome. Endless ice in every direction. Stepped off the boat onto Antarctica. It's freezing.
And then last thing I did.
I would never in a million years have done this. And I still haven't.
All right, so you can guess where this is going. They look realistic, but they are not real. They are from the big new thing that happened in video AI this fall, the launch of Sora 2. Sora from ChatGPT. You can see, Neil, the quality of the video is just stunning. I had several people write to me on my birthday. I'd made a video of me on a roller coaster, and somebody said, "I'm so glad you're going out and on a roller coaster today." Someone else asked me which roller coaster it was. They thought it was in Tampa in the Busch Gardens. So this is the whole brave new world we're looking at, Neil.
Absolutely. And since you mentioned the roller coaster, Sri, and your birthday, I thought I would bring up the post that I shared for folks, for you really on your birthday. Wanted to, find a way to honor kind of our friendship and the work together. And the best thing I could think of doing was to go to AI and ask it to share, create an image that would incorporate different things, New York City imagery and roller coaster, AI icons, social media icons, etc. So this is what it came up with, and I am planning on a blog post to kind of explain some of the background, but I use the same prompt in different platforms, and I thought it was pretty interesting. ChatGPT came up with this. I used your headshot. Gemini came up with that. This is what Perplexity did. This is what Copilot did, and Grok, Meta AI as well. Everyone had a slightly different take, but I'm going to go back to ChatGPT again as a good warning. Generative AI, I didn't notice this until much later that it spelled generative wrong at the bottom. So
2 eyes in generative. There you go.
Happy birthday. Just a few days late, at least to say it in person and on screen. Yes, AI is definitely playing a huge role, and there are many things that I'm doing with the AI recently in terms of enhancing my work. So we'll definitely talk about that later. Before we jump into the paper, Sri, we have so many people who are saying hello. Do we have time to run through
Yes, we do.
some of those real quick?
Yes, please.
Very quickly, but I mean, just the outpouring. I'm going to try and do this crisply. Sujana Chandrasekhar saying welcome back. Rupa, your wife, they're back. Doug Levy, good morning from the San Francisco area. Jonathan, greetings from the East Village. Ellen Austin, hi from the Upper East Side. Patricia Freudenberg saying hello. Ellen Austin says, yes, welcome back. Naomi Service, so great to see you. Your absence messed up my Sundays. Pradnya Haldapur, good morning from Silver Spring. And Deborah Kerr, who you mentioned earlier, welcome back. We're watching and listening from Asheville. And Dr. Tachi watching from Fort Lauderdale. Gunther watching from Austria. And Deborah Kerr tagged a friend of hers who just watched her episode about Antarctica yesterday. So hopefully she'll be able to join us.
I want to tell Deborah that I wish I was in Antarctica, but that was obviously not real.
Obviously not real. My mom, good morning after a gap. Nice to watch. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to join. Ken Fisher and Jennifer is watching from Boston, Deborah's friend. Ken Fisher from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Ken Fisher had a couple of thoughts on what we should cover. He's focusing on world news, actually, more than U.S. news. Denise is watching from Beverly Hills. My sister from Bellevue, Washington. She and Doug Levy are up at 5:30 in the morning. Lots of praise there. Smart move, shifting gears toward hard news. And Rupa is glad that we're on the podcast now. I know she's a big podcast fan. Patricia Freudenberg says, congratulations on our great success. It's a decade of discovery. Yes, it's 10 years. I'm going to have to add a little 10 logo in the corner. Who else do we have? Diane Stefani, welcome back. Thank you for all you do to keep us informed and connected to community. Would love to know more about how farmers are being affected by tariffs and the government shutdown. Let's see who else. And then Amy says, happy belated birthday. John Luxmy says, welcome back. Let's say the shows are also on YouTube. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, and our Digimentors website. So you can find it just about anywhere. We're on our Digimentors Instagram today, but you'll be able to find it there. Mary C. Curtis is saying, boy, we have missed you, tuning in from Charlotte, North Carolina. And trying to see who else is watching. Mukul is watching from Lawrence, New Jersey. Mukul, thank you so much. Carol King, happy birthday, Sri from Tampa Bay. I am just going through. Par Prem Kumar is watching. And Kieran is watching as well. Kieran, Carly, good to see you again. Thank you so much, Kieran. It means so much that you're tuning in on Twitter. I did that fast, Sri, because we had so many people, even in the comments when I posted on Facebook and LinkedIn, saying that they're glad that we're coming back, that they missed us. One person said they didn't know what to do with their Sunday mornings. I said, I know what I was doing. I was sleeping in, but I am glad to be with everyone. We want to focus on the news as much as possible. So Sri, what do we have on the front page today?
There's a lot going on, Neil. Well, first of all, hello to everybody who checked in. We truly appreciate you for watching today and all the times you've joined us in the past. If you're new to us, what we do on Sundays is read the New York Times. Not every page, not every story, but kind of browse through it. That's why I call it the read along. And I know that we're also on audio on Spotify, so you may miss some of the parts of what we're showing you, but you should know that shows like 60 Minutes have done very well in podcast format, even though it's obviously a television show with a lot of great visuals. So we'll try, when possible, to make sure we read aloud what it is that we're seeing on the screen and to describe it as much as possible. It'll take us time to get used to that. Let's look at what's on the front page of the New York Times. Just 2 days before one of the biggest elections in New York City history, but an election that will reverberate around the world. Let's see, the headline here is liberal justices are split over Trump-era strategy. Elena Kagan, these are the liberal justices, plays an inside game to sway votes, while Jackson sounds an alarm. So they're showing how different ways in which they can try to do something. As you know, the Supreme Court is now 9 6-3 out of the 9 Supreme Court justices, 6 conservatives, some of them ultra conservative, and 3 liberal justices. In the past, for decades, it's been 5-4, one direction or the other, and there's always been 1 or 2 swing votes. And that's really disappeared in the era of Trump. And the last 10 years, Trump got to appoint 3 justices, and we saw that Joe Biden got to appoint 1. And that's how that 6-3 number is going to affect things way beyond the current, or beyond current affairs, also beyond our borders, because what happens here is reflected so widely around the world. One thought on this, Neil, is that people who aren't used to American politics don't realize that the way in which America has always worked is the way in which the 3 parts of the government, branches of government, are kind of a check on each other: the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. And there have been very many cases of Democrats who spoke up and checked Democratic presidents, and Republican congressmen and senators who checked Republicans. But that is just not happening now. And with the Senate, as well as the House of Representatives in the hands of Republicans, along, of course, with President Trump, that means there is no check on what's happening. And the judiciary, all he has to do is appeal things to the Supreme Court. And so far, he's had a fantastic, for him, record of getting what he wants there. Will that continue? That's the effect of this. That's the question in this story. That's the lead of the New York Times. The lead photo is at 103. He has stayed on the job. 5 Japanese 100 years or older, including Mr. Ishii here, explained why they're still working. So these are people who are still working, even though they are 100 years old and older. This is a great photograph. I presume he works in a bicycle store. And,
Yeah.
and notice this old penny farthing bicycle in the back that, he may have seen those in real time. Though by 1925 they were gone, but at least he may know about those in a way that's different from us. White House memo: if not heaven, Mount Rushmore or a new coin. Trump mulls eternity amid life of scandal. You heard Neil him say recently that he's mused a couple of times that he doesn't think he's getting into heaven. And this story is talking about, well, he may think he's not going to heaven, but he's certainly open to being on new currency, new coins, and being on Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore, for our non-Americans, you may be familiar with the in the Midwest, we have this huge cutouts of stone carvings of 4 presidents: Washington, Lincoln, Roosevelt, and who's the 4th? I think it's
Not Rushmore.
Jefferson. We'll check it out.
Yeah.
But there's no room, or there shouldn't be any room, for President Trump. He doesn't deserve it, but he certainly has said he would like to be there. And there are some mock-ups of that. All right, frazzled burglars left clues at the Louvre, making a careful plan but losing a helmet. That was one of the more interesting stories, Neil, while we were away, was this Louvre hijack, robbery. And we saw multiple examples during the Halloween of people dressed as burglars. And I was in the elevator and I saw a kid dressed as a spider, but he had a pearl necklace around him. And I said, "Why do you have that?" And he said that a robber from the Louvre somebody dressed as that, was handing out these beads and pearls from the jewelry collection to anybody who wanted them. So that's how things happen in the news, and they quickly come into pop culture, as you know.
The other theme that I saw a lot of parents dressed up as 6'7". If you're not familiar with that meme, Sri, that's a middle school thing that
I've
kids
heard of
are
it,
saying
but explain it to us.
all over the place. I don't know that what the explanation is exactly. It comes from a song. There's a reference to a basketball player, LaMelo Ball, But it's
Who's
really
6'7"?
just a
Who's 6 feet 7
6'7",
inches? Yeah.
right? He's
Yeah.
6'7". It's just an interjection that kids use, particularly if the numbers come up in any kind of way. If people are talking about like, what time are we going to dinner, or what's the what's going to happen, etc. If the word number 6 can work into it, you get a chorus of people, saying 6'7". So there are a lot of parents dressed up as 6'7" for Halloween, and thought that was interesting.
Do you have to say, does the word 6 and 7 have to come up, or just one or the other, and then the kid says 6'7"?
It actually, and I'm doing this as much as I can based on what I know from my daughter Emily, who's 12 now, in 7th grade. But it's kind of like, if one of the numbers comes up, it's more natural. But even if it doesn't, if it's close, if someone says, oh, it's maybe 5 o'clock, 5, 6, 7, like any way they can work it into the conversation, they do. And it's now that the Today Show and the Washington Post and dictionary.com named it the word of the year, I'm pretty sure that meme is going to peter out pretty quickly. Once the adults start using it, the kids run away in the other direction.
That's absolutely right. That's how kids respond. Here, wanted to show you Mount Rushmore. I was right. It's Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. As you know, Lincoln and Roosevelt would have been in another order if it was chronologically, but there's Teddy Roosevelt in there, who helped make the national parks a reality. And if you look at the top of the National Park Service page for Mount Rushmore, it says national parks remain as accessible as possible during the federal government shutdown. However, some services might be limited or unavailable. And one of the things we've been seeing is that people are doing more dangerous activities at the national parks because there's nobody to stop them. People doing base jumping, paragliding, all of this stuff that you're not normally allowed to do, they are able to do it because there are many fewer rangers or almost no rangers around. And I noticed that this particular website, the National Park Service, is neutral about how it's describing the shutdown, but most government websites say things like, because of the democratic shutdown and the just really partisan language, which has never happened. It's usually this is the language, and we're about 31 days into the shutdown. And whatever you feel about the politics, it's wrong to have a country that works like this. Very few places have the system we do, and we're seeing now that things like flights, because of air traffic controllers, parks, so many parts of American society are not working properly or as much as they or as well as they could. And we see millions of people who are not being paid, including people in various government jobs, and the SNAP benefits, which are the money that goes to people who need food and can't afford food. That is also being has run out. The permission for the permitting for that has run out, and a judge has said that President Trump should still release that money, which is there as an emergency funding, but he's saying he doesn't have the money. As you know, America has had money for things like bailing out Argentina, but not to feed its own people. About 40 million people in America rely on this. And if you see the Republican messaging around this, you will think that the percentage of folks who are that it's mostly Black folks or folks in urban areas, and therefore Democratic voters, that are affected by this. But Black folks use less than 20% of the SNAP benefits. And another angle to all of this is the idea that illegal immigrants, are using SNAP illegally. And we've seen stories and things disinformation perpetuated by people like Elon Musk, that say something like 50, 60% of SNAP benefits go to foreigners or people born outside the United States. The correct answer is 11%. And almost every single one of those people are folks who are green card holders or in some other way legally allowed to be here. So that's what we're seeing. And you've shown us a way in which some of these government activities are being labeled here due to a lapse of appropriations you're showing here. Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say. The Department of Education, my understanding is that initially they had a very partisan message on their website.
They did.
But it's not there, at least on the homepage above the fold anymore. So I'd be curious whether those messages have changed over the last
This, I think,
few
has
months.
changed, and I wonder why. Doug is telling us there's a law against partisan activity by civil service workers, so the partisan language is illegal. The current administration is breaking that law every day, many times. And there are ways in which there's something called the Hatch Act that prevents civil service employees from doing political activity. That has just been blown out by the Trump administration long before the shutdown. So thank you for sharing that.
The only other thing I'd say, Sri, is that, and I couldn't find it real quick, but there was a graphic that I recall seeing about SNAP benefits where it talked about the percentage of people from different countries using SNAP. Like 50% of SNAP benefits go to people from Iraq, and 30% go to this or Somalia or something. And the fact of the matter is, it was actually 50% of the recipients from 50% of the people from Iraq are getting SNAP benefits, not 50% of all the
That's part of the disinformation we've been seeing, and as a result, people thinking that those numbers represent money that's going to foreigners, and it is not. As I said, it's 11% in total, and of that, those are the percentages you were seeing there. And so this is one of the many problems we are facing. By the way, I just got an alert that the marathon has is underway. And I thought this would be an excuse to just show you what it's looking like outside. And I can go like this, or I guess I can do this, Neil.
There we go.
So I'm just holding up my phone so you can see it out the window. And Neil will put it full screen so we can see it. And what you see there is a beautiful day. It's about 50 degrees Fahrenheit here. And it's just a beautiful day here. That's what you see there is the 57th Street Bridge, also known as the Ed Koch Bridge, and they'll be running from Queens. So that's Queens over there. This is Manhattan. That's the UN that you see right in front of you, that white building. And all the runners will be coming from Queens, running across that bridge and going uptown. So I won't be able to see the runners up close from here, but you can, of course, in many parts of New York City, see it.
Absolutely. As you're looking at the rest of the paper, there is a comment that I'll pull up from John Luxmi. And so I want to kind of first put this up. Is Yamamoto on the front page. And before you go looking, Sri, Yamamoto is a reference to the Dodgers pitcher who closed out the game, incredible World Series. One thing I want to say is that next time that we take a hiatus, Sri, and come back after a few months, I don't want to do it after Game 7 of the World Series on daylight savings time and the morning of the marathon. It's too crazy. But what's interesting, if you go back to the front page, look at the bottom where it has the reefer right there, and I'll make that big so people can see it. It says online for full coverage of Game 7, go to NewYorkTimes.com/athletic or The Athletic. I'm doing it from memory. But that's the first time I can remember. I mean, it's one of the realities that breaking news doesn't make the front page because they have to print it in advance, even the New York edition. But I can't remember the last time that they said, you know what, we're not going to be able to put it on the front page. Go to the website and find the latest.
I may have seen versions of that in the past, but you're absolutely right about the fact that they have no choice. That baseball game also, we should point out, went into the 11th inning, which meant it ended around 12:15 a.m. Eastern time. and that kept us up late. It was a
I
great,
know.
great series. And you mentioned one Japanese player, but the more famous Japanese player is Shohei Ohtani, who is a unicorn in American sports, in baseball in particular, because he can both pitch, meaning throw the ball at a world-class level, and hit the ball on a world-class level. And he was doing really well throughout the series. So it was a great series between the LA Dodgers and the Toronto Blue Jays. And you could see in the way in which they did the Canadian national anthem and other things that all of Canada was really rooting for their team. And apart from regular partisanship, I think some of the tension between the US and Canada was kind of boiling over in the way that Canadians were reacting to the World Series.
I will say, just for the record, that I was joining several friends of mine and my cousins in rooting for the Blue Jays over the Dodgers. Could not root for the Dodgers, although it seemed they just have an amazing team. I know our friend Lippy Roy, big Toronto fan, Canadian. She would have been watching this morning, but she's actually helping at the New York City Marathon in the medical tent. But yeah, that was a crazy series. It was just crazy. What else do we have on the front page? The New York City elections 2025.
So here you have the head-to-head matchup of Andrew Cuomo pressing, pleading, and seeing what sticks. Cuomo's betting our city has not changed. And that's Zohran Mamdani. He has spent time at a nonprofit fighting foreclosures, and here he is a couple of nights ago emphasizing people who work the late shift, the night shift. And he said that in US elections, we think about work as 9 to 5, but New York has so many people who work after midnight. And so he went to LaGuardia and maybe a couple of other airports to just talk to the cab drivers there. And the headline is Housing Work Helped Shape Mamdani's Vision. That's about the year he spent working at Chaya CDC, a community development corporation in Queens that fought, among other things, foreclosures in the South Asian community. So one of the things that Cuomo says he's never had a job. That was one of the jobs that he has in fact had. And this is a fascinating election. The polls show Mamdani way ahead of Cuomo, though the race has tightened. I believe there will be an earthquake on Tuesday night, late night by 9-10 p.m. We will know 11 p.m. We'll know the results. It'll be an earthquake either way. If he wins, he'll be the first South Asian, first Muslim, the youngest person in a century to be mayor of New York City. And also his background as a democratic socialist will play a big role in how that's seen. If he loses at this point, it will be one of the biggest upsets in polling history. You'd have to look at things like the Hillary Clinton loss to Donald Trump as another example of an equivalent wrong polling situation. Another part of this, I would say, Neil, is not just the poll would be wrong. It would also prove that 26 billionaires putting in $22 million at the last minute can make a difference. That Cuomo going out there and really otherizing him can make a difference. And all the establishment figures who pushed against him, including Democrats. Chuck Schumer never endorsed him, for example, who's the Senate minority leader and leader of the party, did not endorse him. Shows you that all of that did in fact work and has overcome the enthusiasm and the fervor of young people in New York City who are generating most of the excitement for him.
I would say that even, at least, and I didn't read through the details, but my recollection was that there were headlines about President Obama calling the campaign and saying praising the campaign, saying how much he thought that Zohran Mamdani was doing such a great job, but didn't actually endorse him. So I want to just make sure.
Didn't do it in a public way. It came out in the New York Times. You're right. It came out in the New York Times. But they did speak, and he offered his services, to be a sounding board afterward. It's different from what he's done this weekend with Mikey Sherrill, who's running in New Jersey,
In
a
New
Democrat
Jersey.
running in New Jersey, and
Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, where I live. Absolutely. There's just a big difference. The other thing I want to make sure that we didn't gloss over, Sri, is you mentioned, the Islamophobia and the racism. The New York Times put "our city" in quotes on the Andrew Cuomo headline, and I think of that as a intentional a call out for Cuomo's language in terms of it's our city, not their city, not people who look like Mamdani. The other thing is the Mary Curtis is saying that the Islamophobia is right in the open. Let's go back to some basics, and this was really highlighted in the SNL cold open, Saturday Night Live cold open yesterday. Thank you to Deborah Kerr for flagging that for me. Mispronouncing Mamdani's name, the way they did for Kamala Harris, the way they've done for candidates over a number of years is intentional. It is part of the racism to mock people. And I'll just say, as a personal note, when 20 years ago, I worked on a congressional campaign in Tennessee for a guy named Ram Uppaluri. His father was Telugu and his mother was Japanese, running in Tennessee. His line was that if America could vote for Estes Kefauver, who was a vice presidential candidate back in the day in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken, they could vote for Ram Uppaluri. But you brought up the piece by John McWhorter. I now mispronounce you, likely next mayor of New York City.
He's a language expert at the New York Times and a professor who talks about all this mispronunciation that's happening, Mamdani and things like that. The New York Times had another headline for another story that said, friends and foes are mispronouncing his name. So there are some people who are doing it by accident, and there are others who are doing it on purpose. And it's just that it's a name you're not used to. By the way, when Zohran went to meet Reverend Al Sharpton yesterday or day before and did a rally with him, or a session from the pulpit there, he was mispronouncing his name, but he said, I didn't get to pronounce Barack Hussein Obama correctly till the weekend of the election or till he was inaugurated. So that was his excuse for why he was getting it wrong.
Absolutely. Let's keep going with the paper, and we'll make sure to get. Sorry, go ahead.
Just want to remind everyone, this is the Sunday New York Times Read Along. It's in a new format. We are going just 1 hour, and it's mostly discussing the paper. And we will occasionally have guests, but most of the time it'll be focused on this. And we're also now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So please check that out. Check us out on those platforms. We have archives up now, and a couple of hours or into Sunday afternoon, you will see the Today Show on both Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify.
So as you continue with the paper, I just want to make sure that we recognize some of the folks that are tuning in. Ron Thomas, welcome back. Missed the read along. John Lee says he's reading Rescuing My Daughter from the Cult of Labubu in the New York Times opinion section. Someone, Tomato 1656 is watching. Not sure who that is. Rose Horowitz is watching. She said she missed the read along. Manuel Llaneras is tuning in as well.
I want to point out Manuel is in Spain, and Ron Thomas is usually in Dubai, if he's not flying all over the world. So we appreciate our international audience, and Rose watching from Connecticut, and our American audience. We're so grateful to everyone for being here, being part of our story and part of our community. Because of the new format, Neil, we only have about 15 minutes left. So we want to kind of speed this along a little bit. And we want your feedback. We want to hear from you what you think of this. We will be live on Sundays, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And we'd love to get your feedback. And you can post comments on any of these channels, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, of course, X as well, and digimentors.group. You can find us there. So please give us your feedback and tag your friends. That's the best thing you can do to help the show, is to tag a friend who can watch later, or tell them just go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and they can find our show there.
I was just going to point out that this LinkedIn user, unfortunately, the name and photo didn't come through, but that's Raja Gopalan watching on LinkedIn. So thank you very much
Hi, Raja.
for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. All right, let's just see what else is in the paper. We're not going to have a lot of time. This is also, Neil, you and I are learning how to fit in the show in an hour. For those of you who've seen previous episodes, we would interview someone for about half an hour about their career and projects, and then we would read the paper together for about an hour. But we were not trying to read in such detail as we did today the front page. So we'll have to learn how to moderate that a little bit as we go forward. All right.
Planning ahead, Sri. Make sure you get the opinion section
yes,
after business.
Yeah. We also want to remind everyone this is our 10th anniversary, and that means we have been doing this since 2015 with the rise of Donald Trump. At that point, we thought he has no chance of becoming, I tweeted that he has 5% chance of becoming president in 2015, and we saw how the world changed. Okay, Sunday business cover is his life is taking on Elon Musk. Oh, that's a good man in my opinion. Aaron Greenspan was once a promising entrepreneur. He has now spent 2 decades battling tech moguls. And so this is, I've not heard this story, and I don't know Aaron, so I'm going to look forward to seeing the story. And can Trump bring coal back to Navajo Nation? The industry offered solid work, but it came with health and environmental risks. All right, the Sunday opinion. Exactly a year ago, the cover of the New York Times was very dramatic. And what it said was that Donald Trump will do things like persecuting opponents and bypassing Congress, all of that. That was the headlines. There it is. Donald Trump says he will prosecute enemies, order mass deportations. This is last year. Use soldiers against citizens, abandon allies, play politics. Yep. Play politics with disasters. Believe him, that was the Sunday warning before the Tuesday election. And here we are a year later, and this is the same opinion section. Donald Trump has persecuted opponents, bypassed Congress, sent troops into cities, defied the courts, changed election rules, vilified minorities, enriched himself. Where will it end? An index of American democracy by the editorial board. And that's where you're seeing, we were warned. A lot of people, including me, in our coverage, Mary C. Curtis, others, as we covered nonstop the elections on some of our other shows, including being live all day of election day, that Trump would do these things. None of it is as a surprise. To me, Neil, what we have to understand is elections have consequences. Everyone says that. But he has taken a 1.5% victory and turned it into what he claims a mandate to do so much damage. He had the 11th smallest victory in American history and has taken that to say he has a mandate to do anything and everything he wants. That's what a lot of people might be surprised by, but we did warn everyone that this would happen. All right, let's keep going.
Before you go, Sri, I want to encourage people. I'm putting the links in the chat in Facebook and LinkedIn. Not as many as usual, but I'm trying. But in particular, I would encourage you to check out this editorial and the one I'm going to share from last year, because not just to read it, but also the layout and the presentation is really impressive online.
And here's a print version of that story, of that editorial. They say, number one, an authoritarian stifles dissent and speech. Trump is hard. It's making the case that he's an authoritarian. They're saying an authoritarian persecutes political enemies. Trump has, etc. And Mary C. Curtis has a very important point that we should point out, that Kamala Harris predicted President Trump would send U.S. military to U.S. cities. When she said that, she was attacked, mocked, made fun of for saying that. And here we are. That's exactly what it has turned out to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is We'll just quickly see what else is here. You wanted one more story you wanted to point out, Neil?
Oh no, I was saying to make sure we get to the opinion section, which
Great.
you did. That was the main thing.
Okay. So here we have another about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to go. Let's just look at the book review. Philip Pullman, the author of his Dark Material series, brings his heroine Lyra's stories to a close with a plea for humanism and honesty in the Rose Field. I've not read or seen his Dark Materials, but I know people who love that series on TV at least. And many know the book, of course. Neil is sharing online are both of those New York Times editorials, the 2024 and 2025. I would call the 2024 one "Believe Him," and
Yes.
the 2025 one "The Proof of Everything That Happened." Joe Sacco, drawing human suffering realistically has become more difficult, says the pioneering comics journalist, whose new book is "Once and Future Riot" on India's sectarian violence. Next up, the Rolling Stones. This is by the book. Joe Sacco, I need to look up and see what that's about. Thrillers, Halloween. Neil, what was the costume at home for Halloween?
Well, I didn't get dressed up for Halloween. Pam and I were home handing out candy, but Emily got dressed up and went as Gru from Minions. So I think it was nice. She went with a number of her friends who all dressed up as different Minions characters. I will take the producer's privilege, if you're okay with that, to share that picture of her because she's my daughter. And
love to see that. While you're pulling that together, Michael says, "Glad I was able to catch this today. It will be a crazy week too." Thank you, Michael. Thank you for watching.
Yeah,
And
so that's Gru from. I can make that bigger. Gru from. It actually doesn't go bigger on Instagram, unfortunately.
Okay,
but that's that.
She's a former guest on the show. We loved getting perspectives from unusual viewpoints, and multiple times she's been a guest on the show, especially when we used to read the New York Times Kids special section that ran for several years. During our hiatus, it was sunset by the New York Times. They're keeping the New York Times for Kids Instagram running, but both online and in print, it will no longer exist in the same format it was there. So that was, I thought, a very good product and an opportunity for 7 to 12-year-olds to understand the news.
It was definitely aimed for a little higher than that. And I was very surprised. And this is Deborah Kerr actually said that earlier, that she was a fine young host in our earlier segments. But yeah, I was very disappointed to see that it had stopped doing the print edition while we were off the air sometime in August. I always thought that was a highlight, and a lot of people loved seeing that section, and we were able to share that print-only special section with our readers, which was,
we had an arrangement with the Times editors that we could share it for a few hours, the PDF, because it was never online. It was only in print. And that's, an era ends. Okay. Enter the Dragon. A new biography of Bruce Lee charts the star's life and legacy as a breakout Asian American celebrity who paved the way for others. There would be no Jackie Chan in America without Bruce Lee and so many other action heroes. And for those of us in our 50s and above, Bruce Lee had a big outsized role in our imagination, especially if you're Asian, because he was one of the few Asian Americans you would see in big time Hollywood films. Of course, many of them were international films that were brought here. Water, Mirror, Echo, Bruce Lee and the Making of Asian America by Jeff Chang is out. 540 pages. That's what you call an epic biography. South Pacific, two radically different island communities are the focus of this novel called The Wayfinder by Adam Johnson. And here's that Philip Pullman profile. So far, almost everybody we've looked at is either a male author or a male subject. But here we have Francesca Wade's portrait and book about Gertrude Stein. So this is a new biography, probes the legacy of the modern novelist, art collector, and saloniste. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Outsider. The CNN anchor Jake Tapper makes a courtroom drama of the strange case for a jihadi fighter who turned himself in. Race Against Terror. So this is a novel, I guess, or maybe it's a action nonfiction book. I'm not sure. He wrote and brought out with Alex Thompson a book very critical of Joe Biden, his family, his advisors, and the Democratic establishment for tolerating Biden trying to run for office the second time, because he was definitely diminished and not enough was done by people close to him. And you saw lots of stories around that time. Jonathan says, some interesting misspellings in the Bruce Lee review, really. And so maybe that's a reflection of fewer copy editors at the New York Times. But I'd love to hear what those are. Okay, children's books here, including A Sea of Lemon Trees, The Corrido of Roberto Alvarez by Maria Dolores Aguila. Our daughter Durga is off to New Jersey because she is working as a field director for a campaign, the campaign of Musab Ali, who's running for mayor of Jersey City. And I'd love for her to just say hello to everybody in just a minute. Neil, can you believe there is in the New York City area a different South Asian Muslim candidate running against a different disgraced governor? And
that's right.
McGreevey, Senator, Governor McGreevey, who was resigned around 2004, is back running as the mayor in Jersey City, and one of his opponents is Musab Ali, who was born in Lahore, in Pakistan. So she's here. She's just about to head out to Jersey City. Yeah. So and she also spent time working for the Mamdani campaign.
Yes.
What's your message to people in Jersey City who might be watching or know people in Jersey City?
Yeah, a few things. Well, first, Musab Ali grew up in Jersey City starting at age 2. Most of the other candidates came with a lot of wealth. So we're being outspent 5 or 10 to 1. So millions of dollars to our hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's because we're a grassroots-powered campaign, whereas McGreevey, for example, is powered by MAGA and the Kushners, who have a huge luxury tower that they rent out in downtown Jersey City. A little on McGreevey is he was a disgraced governor because he did a lot of shady things in office, had an affair, and also put a foreign national from the IDF in charge of Homeland Security. And then after that, he has lost 8 jobs because of embezzlement. So it's been an amazing journey, and we went from 4th place 2 months ago. We created our field program. I've been so happy to do that with my team, and now we're in 2nd place. And that will take us to the runoff. So please keep an eye on this story because, hey, the Zohran team has asked for no more donations. We are really, really needing donations right now.
Even with a day and a half to go, you could use donations. Okay.
3 more days.
All right. Musab Ali is his name. Good luck, Durga, and to the team. She works from about 8 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night. Obviously, with the last 2 days, it's very, very busy. We love all the comments that came through. So thank you very much, folks, for saying hi to Durga. And Ron Thomas says, I love seeing young people involved. Pradnya says, you go, Durga. And Amy says, Durga's articulate and beautiful. Thank you. And she's 22, so we're very proud of her for doing this. And we are just so glad for everyone to be here. I saw that Sujana had also posted a comment, and as did Dr. Tachi. So thank you, everyone, for supporting, for voting, being part of the process, where whoever you're voting for. I think that's important. We have just 5 minutes left. We want to look at what else is in the paper. Neil, do you have any comments?
Absolutely. And we have a couple of announcements we want to make before we finish up as well, Sri. So we will get to that before we close the show.
Sure. The Metropolitan cover is visiting Canadians are missed because of all the anti-Canadian sentiment coming out of the White House. It says here, attractions and businesses near the border see a drop-off since Trump returned to office. So that's interesting. What else do we have? Arts and Leisure cover is Rosalia has taken a thrilling avant-garde avant pop swerve, singing in 13 languages. That Jonathan says voted early on last Monday. So there's a very striking image there. The New York Times Magazine cover is "I'm on fire. Testosterone is giving women back their sex drive, and then some." So this is about it's a medical and health and other story that you're seeing there. The Sunday Styles cover is what is this? Proudly embracing the Luddite label, groups of young people take to the streets to encourage real connections. So this is, it says, eat your phone. And Luddites, of course, were the folks during the Industrial Revolution who pushed back against Industrial Revolution, were not for technical progress or technology. And I've seen this, Neil, from young people around below 25 who don't have Instagram, who criticize technology on a regular basis. So maybe they know something that we don't as Generation X folks. And the real estate cover, it's no time for winding down. For retirees who want to stay active, there are more niche communities to choose from, but some of them don't come cheap. So you've seen the wide range of topics that are being covered in today's Sunday New York Times.
Absolutely. And I'm just putting up another ticker 3. We might need a few extra minutes to finish out today's show. A couple of announcements. We couldn't get to all of the comments that people shared on Facebook and LinkedIn, on YouTube. We'll do our best to get a few more of those in there, but I want to do a quick shout out to people watching on Instagram. I'm going to have to look off camera a little bit. Zach Peterson was watching, and he had said earlier, I can attest to the 6-7 thing. My daughter is 11. It's rampant.
He's watching from Prague, so it's
Prague
international, yeah.
And we had a number of other people watching on Instagram. Tim Fielder said, "This is dope. Welcome back." And I want to give a quick shout out. As I mentioned earlier, Graphic History Company joined us as one of our sponsors for this Refresh show. So thank you so much. Tim Fielder is, of course, the artist behind that. And Walter Grayson is the historian. I want to put up the draft of the cover of Volume 2 of the Graphic History of Hip Hop. We actually had them on our show earlier talking about their first volume, but Volume 2 will be coming out. Go to their website, graphichistory.com, and graphichistorycompany.com, and make sure you sign up. I'll put a link in the chat for that. But there's some great work that they're doing, and of course, we're big fans of both of them. You were talking about women's health, Sri. I wanted to give a quick announcement. As folks may remember, I had started a show on mental health called Shining Light on Shadows, a candid conversation about mental health. And I am really proud that the next 2 episodes of the show coming up November 13th and December 11th, because we're taking off for Thanksgiving, is going to be focusing on perimenopause and menopause and their impacts on mental health. I didn't get a chance to write in the names of our guests, but our guests on the November 13th episode will be Aisha Sultan, a journalist from St. Louis, and Farnoosh Tarabi, who's a financial journalist who's been on various TV news. On December 11th, Candace Sanchez and our own Jenny Lazarus will be our guest, talking about full-on menopause and the impact on mental health. So we will certainly be sharing details about those shows. I encourage everyone to join us and watch. I think as we've done a number of shows, this is our 40th episode coming up. As you can see, these are probably the ones I'm most proud of. And I did not have on my bingo card for this year that I would be asking my friends, are you in perimenopause or menopause?
Wait,
not a question that.
Are you allowed to
say
ask
again?
That? Are you allowed to ask that?
Am I allowed to? That's the whole question. But I actually have, for the people that we were reaching out to be on the show, it had to engage in that conversation. And, we certainly, I will not, obviously, I'll be helping to facilitate that. But Dawn, my co-host, is going to be a big part of those shows as well. Very, very excited. I know Reka is watching post-race from New York City.
Congratulations,
way to go.
I guess she finished the race. That's great.
That's incredible. I did want to thank you. Oh, Pradnya, thank you so much. And I know that you've been a guest on our show as well. And you've written a lot about it online. So I certainly look forward to hearing your thoughts on that. A few other quick announcements, and then we'll make sure we get the rest of the comments. Our friends from the Irish Stew podcast wanted to make sure that we shared their upcoming episodes. Off the Beaten Crack. I did not get the pronunciation from John, but there's a series of episodes they have, like 10 episodes, where effectively they cover the equivalent of flyover country in the U.S. So kind of the interior of Ireland. They have a number of shows. You can find it, the Irish Stew podcast. John Lee has been a guest on our show as well. So we want to make sure that you knew about that. And then also, Sri, we didn't mention at the beginning that the show is produced by Digimentors, the consulting company that you started with our friend Andrew Lee. And it's certainly been a highlight to do that work. As we mentioned, Andrew, I think it's worth noting that Andrew was at the Wikipedia conference just a couple of weeks ago, and he himself was in the news. There was a person who approached the stage with a gun, and Andrew was one of the people who moved quickly to actually stop a tragedy from happening.
Yeah, he jumped on stage and wrestled the guy with the gun and was a true hero, though I'm sure a lot of us were saying, what the hell are you doing? He was fine, and that person was taken away. But this is all reality of what life in America is like now, and you never know where something might happen at any point. So we're grateful that Andrew's okay and salute his bravery while also saying, what the hell were you thinking? Folks, This has been the New York Times Read Along. We are so grateful to all of you. It's our 10th anniversary, our new format, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And we're now on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. So you can listen to the audio while you're running or whatever else you're doing. Please follow those shows there, rate and like those shows. And on all of these platforms, any feedback, any ratings you can give us, we'd be very grateful. Sujana says, menopause is finally coming into the light. Bravo. And Dr. Chandrasekhar knows a lot about women's health and talks a lot about it too. So thank you very much, Sujana. Diana says, menopause is such an important topic. Thank you. And as a reminder, Neil, if you missed it, Neil is doing 2 episodes in November and December about menopause and perimenopause on his show, Shining Light on Shadows. All right, folks,
Absolutely.
We're going to wrap up here. Thanks to everyone for watching. If you're in New York, New Jersey, Virginia, or California, where there are major elections taking place, please vote and speak up, because this is the time you have to do it. All right, folks. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.